And congratulations. You've made it to the final elements of Module 6, our last video for this module. Let's talk about the PPE turnover, property, plant, and equipment turnover rate. We figured out asset turnover when we had the income statement item, total sales, total net sales in the numerator, and average assets in the denominator. We're going to do something similar for our property, plant, and equipment to see how efficient and effective we are utilizing our equipment. So let's take a look at our PP&E. We have our land. We said land is never depreciated. This is Home Depot. We have buildings, furniture, fixtures, equipment, leasehold improvements. We have to capitalize leases now. All leases must be capitalized as long as they are material in nature, meaning they have numbers that impact the financials. Construction and process, capital leases, and we have property, plant, and equipment at cost or historical cost, plus accumulated depreciation and capital lease amortization. So we amortize intangibles, leases are intangibles, so we're amortizing leases as well. Net PP&E from one year to the next doesn't look like a significant jump, but our net has increased. And then we have depreciation and capital lease amortization expense that has been steadily increasing. So we look like we're acquiring more equipment, more assets. So what's the PPE, property, plant, and equipment turnover rate about? Well, it's a productivity or utilization ratio. And what level of PPE is needed to generate $1 of revenue? So that's the ratio we're now analyzing. So, and how capital intensive is the company and its competitors? I've said it before, but the PPE turnover ratio means nothing alone. It means something when you compare it to yourself in prior years, intra-company, or against other companies in the industry, inter-company, between companies. So here's our PPE turnover. Sales, net sales over average PPE. Okay, we can, and that's book value of property, plant, equipment, the net book value. And for Home Depot, we adjust sales for week 53. Most of the time, you don't have to worry about that. Problems I give you, you won't have to worry about that on exams and quizzes. As long as you understand the concept that we've got the turnover rate, we're going to take our average and we're going to come up with our, in this case, 4.8 is what they calculate. So analysis of PPE turnover rate. Higher turnover is usually preferable. We're more efficiently utilizing and more effectively utilizing, more productive with the assets we have. It implies a lower capital investment. So property, plant, and equipment, which is in the denominator, a lower denominator gives you a higher turnover. Higher turnover increases profitability because the company avoids asset carrying costs. So the same way we had to finance that inventory, billions of dollars of inventory with billions of dollars interest expense, we got to finance that equipment, billions of dollars of equipment and billions of dollars of interest expense. So these are big ticket items typically, and we need to bear. Think of an oil rig. Think of a manufacturing operation, assembly line. Those are some pretty big tickets. Buildings, even the campuses, or Google, or Alphabet, or Microsoft. All the buildings, those are amazing places to go, amazing places to be. It's a place called Epic Software. They just adopted Epic around here in the hospitals for medical tracking and medical records. And their campus is just south of Madison, Wisconsin, a beautiful place, expensive. And they have solar panels there, and they have underground parking, and they have all kinds of cool stuff. But those are expensive to build out. So PPE turnover is lower for capital intensive firms and lower for companies in service or IT. Okay, so we're looking at PPE turnover rate. We also have a useful life, straight line depreciation, zero average. We can estimate the average useful life for depreciable assets. So we have average depreciable assets at cost divided by depreciation expense. So this is another one of those ratios that's saying, okay, on average, how long do our assets last? Taking our depreciation expense, value of the assets. Oh, that's interesting. I can see that I'm taking the average of the equipment numerator and the expense in the denominator, but I'm looking at how many years it can go. depreciation per year. We have the equipment. So percent used up. So proportion of a company's depreciable assets that have already been used up and transferred to the income statement. So we have that accumulated depreciation we recorded. And we went down, we went from 18,000 a year, and then we ended up down to total of 90,000 accumulated depreciation on $100,000 worth of assets. So accumulated depreciation divided by the average depreciable asset cost. So we stretch that out and we get a percentage of what's been used up. So these are all handy calculations and handy tools and handy analysis of knowing what we've used, knowing how efficient and effective we are, how long on average we keep this stuff. Because you might be comparing companies saying, well, they got 18-year on average assets and someone else has 10. They may be a little more efficient and effective with some younger assets. So they're 80% used up. They might have some higher level of CapEx, capital expenditures coming up to replace those aging assets. And as I said, the older assets are usually typically less efficient. So that's the big picture we're looking. Hopefully you got a good feel of what it looks like for inventory, what it looks like for payables, what we're doing with other adjustments on the income statement, and then our fixed assets. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your indulgence. And we will look forward to moving onward and upward. Good luck.